The Film Connection is a Hockomock Film Festival production. The series provides youth in the neighborhood of the Hockomock League with filmmaking advice directly from industry professionals. The Hockomock Film Festival is a competition-based festival encouraging students in the Hockomock League to work creatively and foster their unique talents and create awesome films. The festival has 5 categories, including drama, documentary, PSA. Submissions to the festival will be accepted until April 27th, and an award ceremony will be held on May 11th. For more information or to submit a film, go to hockomockfilmfestival.com. Hello, I'm Kara Swady, a producer of The Film Connection. Today, we are so very excited to introduce our guest newbie, Rato, an independent filmmaker. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. Really honored to be on the Film Connection. I appreciate you guys reaching out to me and kind of talk about filmmaking. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we're so excited to have you. Let's just jump right into it.
Cool.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about what it is that you do?
Well, it's funny. My passion is TV production. So, that's I like everything, when it comes to media and telling stories. So, what I do, and I guess what people know me for the best for, is to do documentaries. Consider myself a documentarian, but also a storyteller. I think ultimately, where the passion came from is that, I always grew up, watching different documentaries and so forth, sports documentaries. And, for some reason I watched a lot of news when I was a kid. I don't know why. Rather than watching cartoons and everything, I was watching CNN. I don't know why. Okay, I was a weird kid. But I've always felt like, especially when I got to college and everything started to become more socially aware, that people in the media have a responsibility to tell a story and tell it the right way. Particularly, when it comes to things in the inner city. So, what I do is I do documentaries that focus on the inner city. And, I think people in the media have a responsibility of telling a story and accurately portraying what's going on. So, I feel like I'm blessed with the talent to tell stories and to be a filmmaker and so forth. So I'm like, how are you going to use that talent? You're going to use that talent to do club videos and music videos, about inappropriate things? Or do you want to do work that kind of educates people and lets people think about, social issues and so forth? So I decided to go that route and do that.
Can you tell us a little bit about your latest projects?
I've done about 4 documentaries in the last 5 or 6 years or so. So my last project that I did that I'm currently touring right now is actually called Out of Bounds. And Out of Bounds, the concept of that documentary is that we went to a lot of high school and college athletes who had a great career, amazing career, did a fantastic job, big man on campus. And then after their career is over, it's like, what's next? What do I do? So, I grew up in Brockton, and myself and William Madero, who actually co-produced the documentary as well, we decided that we have a lot of friends that, are great football or basketball players, and some of them are doing really well, and some of them have a little tough time. So we wanted to do a documentary called Out of Bounds about after your sports career is over, what's next, and what's going on. So we interviewed players, who told their story about finding success once their career is over. So, the point of that film was basically that you can find success once your career is over, because sports in itself is a profession. There's more jobs outside of the court of the field than there is actually when you're playing on the court of the field. So again, it's just an issue we want to focus on the inner city. We focus on basketball and football because predominantly inner city sports. And how do you find success once your career is over? It's ultimately trying to give someone, a confidence boost. Just because my career is over, I physically can't play no more. That doesn't mean you're 23, 24 years old. You're still in the prime of your career, prime of your life, and you gotta make a decision that success is going to be your option.
Now you mentioned earlier a little bit about responsibility as a filmmaker. Can you expound a little bit on that and to the degree of, who has what responsibility as a filmmaker?
Well, I think, being in the media, I think is a privilege. I always see it as a privilege. So, and whether you're a news person, whether you're a filmmaker, whether you're what have you, whatever it takes in media, you have to be able to tell a story properly and tell that. So I personally feel like, again, I work off my passion. And, just in college and everything, I didn't like the way the inner city was portrayed. I thought, it's, maybe 4 or 5 knuckleheads, and maybe that's what people portray the inner city as. When probably, the perception is, that's not the case. I'll give you an example. Just, with the last couple of years, there's been a lot of police shootings and so forth. I think most police officers are good people. I think you have 1 or 2% who are knuckleheads, who are really bad, and that paints a broad brush to everybody. Same respect in the inner city might be 1 or 2 knuckleheads. So the responsibility for me, I take as a filmmaker, is that I have to tell that other 98%, okay, and tell those good stories of people who are doing good work. So I feel like that's, a responsibility of the media.
Now, I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about Out of Bounds as a completely packaged documentary. I know the road to a finished film is often quite long, and a lot of that stuff happens behind the scenes. There's a lot of work that goes into maybe getting something from inception to distribution. So can you talk a little bit about your step-by-step process from a single idea to a finished distribution deal?
Absolutely. So it's funny when you say Out of Bounds. We've done, 4 or 5 documentaries. In total, I think I've done like 7 over, since college. Out of Bounds was the first documentary we got a deal from. The first one, and I finished that. I'm 20 years old. I started filming, doing documentaries since I was like 19. So, again, the process, it might take shorter for someone else, which is great, but, it's just that constant chipping away. The first thing is, when we talk about documentaries, what's the first thing you want to do? I want to garner interest from the, from what's going on in the public. So sports is obviously, that's something that's never going to die out. So just in terms of business, sports are never going to die out. So it's always going to be something that people are going to be interested in being a part of. So, I'm like, let's pick a topic that's relevant, that's going to be relevant for a while. It just makes business sense. So, in the way I do it is that, I first want to be able to, I think, a lot of people ask for investments from other people. I'm doing a documentary, I need a couple $100, I need this, that, and the other. I need, I'm trying to raise, 20, 30,000, whatever I need. And they initially ask people for the money first. Personally, I don't think that's the case. I got to prove myself. Who the heck are you? So I'm saying, who the heck is this person newbie? I had to prove myself first. So what I do is I start filming myself. I invest in myself first. I invest in myself, invest in my own equipment first. Myself and William Madero, who's the co-producer of the documentary. And we started filming and doing some interviews and stuff to gain us some interest and some momentum. Once we did that, we developed a trailer. And we got a trailer, just a 2-minute little promo. This is what we're doing. And that way, people are going to say, okay, he's not just, saying I'm doing a documentary for the heck of it. He's actually serious about doing it. So we developed a trailer with some ESPN names on it, a former NBA player. Like, okay, wow, Nubi's really serious now. Then, once you develop that momentum, then we ask for your money. Then it's okay, we're doing a fundraiser. Then I start fundraising everything, start gathering some interest from there. Because I've already established that, I'm serious about what I'm doing. There's a trailer. Now we can actually raise a little money and really start gaining some momentum. As we do that, continue to do the documentary. Each film, for me, takes about a year. It takes about a year. Once the production's finished, it's about gaining momentum, gaining publicity for the film. So, again, I'm a big believer in investing in yourself first. So what I did was, myself and William Madero, we rented out Showcase Cinema in Randolph, and we said, we're going to take a risk, and we're going to see what we could do in terms of selling tickets and so forth. We sold out the cinema. So again, we sold it out. Now we're getting more press and more coverage for it. It's like, okay, this is cool. So now we've been able to fundraise the documentary, also make some of a profit by investing ourselves in doing our premiere and selling tickets and so forth. We used that profit and we brought it into the film festival circuit, and we started to take our film to different film festivals. What film festivals are, if you're a sports person, is in essence like you're playing a football, basketball game, there's scouts around. Those scouts are what you call distributors, and they're looking to purchase a film, or they're looking to take your film and bring it to another level. We were fortunate that we showed a film out in California. There was someone else interested in the film. They're called Leo Mark Studios, and they said that, they'd want to work with us, and we signed our first distribution deal with them. From there, it took a few months. They were able to get us a deal to have our film at Walmart and Best Buy and so forth, and really broaden our scope. But that took a while. That was a long process. So something I've been starting since I was 19 years old, doing real TV production, honestly, since high school. At the age of 26 at the time, I'm 28 now, we got our first distribution deal. So that was a long, arduous process. And obviously it wasn't a big deal. I'm not retiring off it. I still have another full-time job. But ultimately, I think that is a big deal, because now when we do our next documentary, it's instant credibility. Oh, I remember Newey Productions. They produced that film, Out of Bounds. It's now in Walmart and Best Buy. I remember them. So you know what? I'm immediately going to invest in them now. How do we need to, so obviously I'm going to always, prove myself, but it's easy to convince people when you have a track record now. So, and then, kind of the icing on the cake, we got nominated for an Emmy Award, which was pretty cool. We didn't win, which I'm still upset about, really upset about, but we got nominated. Next year, hopefully, we'll take the award. So that's kind of the process between how we started it, just the idea, the fundraising part of it, investing in yourself first, and then to ultimate distribution. But again, that's my story. Your story could be completely different. Every filmmaker has a different story. So, some people may do a film and they meet someone, their cousin or something knows somebody and they get $1 million deal. That's good for you, So every filmmaker has a type of story. So when people watch this, you may not go about it, my way. It may be somewhere different. But ultimately, if you have passion behind it, success is going to be your only option.
Now, since you mentioned that you made trailers of your amazing documentaries, I think we should take a look at a few of them.
No one, not even myself, looked at it, oh, I'm going to the league. We were talking about let's get this education for free. I got a free scholarship to BC for doing this.
It's a major self-confidence issue, and there's a major disbelief in our capacity to actually do the things we need to do.
The first people we pitch out there as role models are athletes and entertainers. It's as if we have nobody else doing anything else, and that's on us.
There's nothing wrong with being a successful Division III player, getting a degree, and being a professional in life.
I had confidence to believe that if I could be successful in this, in basketball, then I could be successful in other things.
We ride a lot and put a lot on the success of what our athletes do, because the results come a lot quicker.
Those trailers were obviously amazing. Congratulations on your Emmy nomination. Are you willing to give beginning filmmakers any tips on either budgeting to invest in themselves and a way that they can go about doing that? Do you have any tips for them?
Yeah, I think it's very important. One thing I've always didn't like growing up is that many people who were not easily approachable. I said to myself, when I grow up, whether filmmaker, whether in high school, what have you, not to be afraid to ask me any questions. I always wanted to be very approachable because, I didn't like that feeling of, asking someone a question and, they're just not approachable because they thought they made, at some type of status. So, so advice I give to young filmmakers is, I think, ultimately, just on a general level, you got to make sure you're consistent. Consistency is everything. A lot of times people start something and then just get down and out, like, that project was awful, and they stop. The one thing I had going for me was that, I've been very consistent, throughout, they can associate Newbie Productions and Newbie is that, he was always involved in TV. So let's just say you want to be a filmmaker, I think it's very important that either involved in a community access, like somewhere here at Eastern Access or what have you, or if you have listen, I know things are expensive. If you want to invest in yourself and get some equipment, the good thing about that is equipment has gotten a lot cheaper. It used to be really expensive, but now you can get a decent camera for a couple $100. I would just start filming and just doing work, and whether it's you have your own YouTube page or on Vimeo page, just start filming things and putting it out there and gaining momentum. And then just start applying to random film festivals. I think that's so important, just to kind of just really just, this is what I'm doing, and then get a platform for yourself. I've always thought the community access route was really important because, you'd be able to, work with professionals and also have access to equipment and so forth. And you have that platform to show it on a station. So my suggestion to them is somehow, some way, get access to some type of equipment and start producing. And a lot of times people say, oh, have this plan, step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just do it. Just go. I mean, just start filming whatever your passion is. Start doing it, and then you'll make some mistakes, and then get a platform for it. And the younger you are, I'm fortunate enough where I teach TV production in high school. And some of my students, have their own YouTube pages, and it's like, they're way farther than I ever was when I was their age, and they have their own audience, and that's huge now. The advantage they have to when I was in high school, which is not too long ago, 10 years ago, but social media has blown up, so you immediately have your own audience, and I think that's so important to gain some momentum. And then when you get really good at what you do, you'll have people say, hey, can you do this film for me? All right, cool, I'm gonna charge you now. You develop a reputation, and that's how careers start.
So you mentioned social media, and it might be really important for filmmakers to not only be serious about integrating social media into their filmmaking process, but stay consistent with that. Do you have any tips on how they can combine both when they have the idea to make a film? You said that you use things like Facebook and Twitter. Would you suggest that they start using sites, crowdfunding sites like GoFundMe or Indiegogo?
Yeah, I would suggest that, personally, everyone's using GoFundMe right now. It might be a little too saturated. So a lot of times, people, who are doing a film, I would suggest, you can do it on your own now. You can create your own website and start fundraising from there. Just create an account. I always feel like it's so important to kind of create your own brand. And GoFundMe is a great way. If you want to do that, but I feel like it's almost too saturated now. It's like, another GoFundMe account. But let's just say, there's, I'm just thinking of a name, Brian Productions. Oh, this is different. Wow, I know Brian. I want to invest in him. So I would suggest now that we live in a social media world, this is a great time to fundraise. But again, before you start fundraising, you have to establish credibility. I think that's so important. A lot of times, we want everything to be given to us so easily and so quickly, but we haven't proven ourselves yet. So again, that consistency, part is important. Maybe it might be, doing free work for a year, and just having good product. That way people feel like, I want to invest in that person. I think it's so important before we get to the social media parts, being able to be consistent. But yes, once we get to the social media part, you have a huge platform that filmmakers 20, 30 years ago never had. So I think it's so important. But also, you know, you have a platform, so is everyone else. So what's going to separate you from everyone else? You know, if everyone's doing, that's why I'm saying, you know, if everyone's doing a GoFundMe account, no, but let's just say, you know, I do fundraising on my website. It's just something different. Like, okay, cool, it's something different, it's a different product. So you always got to separate yourself. You know, I think that's so important. I don't want to get off topic, but, you know, I'm always telling, you know, different students and everything, when you graduate, and everyone has a communications degree, right? The day after you graduate, you're not going to get a job in TV. What's going to separate you from the next person? Okay, you got to be able to separate yourself, and you got to be different. You got to be different because everyone has the same degree you have. Everyone has the same camera you have. What makes you different? So, you know, everyone may have, you know, a camera and everyone may be a filmmaker, but what makes you different? What's your resume of work? What's your work ethic like? I think that's more important.
Do you have any other tips that you would give students wanting to make films? You said earlier a little bit about the importance of choosing subjects and topics that you're very passionate about. Would you give the same advice to budding filmmakers who maybe don't know what they want their film to be about yet?
I would suggest passion, but another advice I would suggest would help me out a lot is, you know, a lot of times, let's just say someone wants to be a reporter, and the only thing they want to do is be in front of the camera. If you want to be a filmmaker, the only thing you want to do is be behind the camera. I would really, again, talk about separating yourself. Get good at everything. Practice everything. Become a proficient editor. Become proficient in front of the camera. Become proficient behind the camera, filming. That way, you know, you may not be doing all three of them, but when you work with somebody, you know exactly what you want. You know, I consider myself more of an editor than anything, but it's helped me be able to film and shoot productions because I know exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm not going to waste time. And when I'm working with another filmmaker who's, you know, doing cam work and everything, I know what I'm looking for, so I can tell that person, okay, I'm looking for this shot because I need it for that edit. So, you know, I think that's huge. Again, you know, how are you going to separate yourself? And if you know how to do post-production, you know how to do production, and so forth. Now you got a good grasp of the TV production industry and filmmaking. You know, I think that'd be one of my biggest advice to upcoming filmmakers is be proficient at those three aspects and be, you know, practice it all the time. That's the only way you're gonna do it. You can't practice it. You can't just do it in class for an hour and a half and think, you know, you're gonna be a beast. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, I listen to a lot of Eric Thomas. They call him the hip hop preacher. You know, my favorite saying is, everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. You know, and you know, in order to go to that next level, you gotta put in the grind, the hustle, and the work ethic.
I completely agree. And I would just like to say that I have learned a lot from you on the grounds of responsibility that you have as a creative individual and as a filmmaker in the media and TV industry. Is there anything you'd like to say to future filmmakers or current filmmakers about kind of the intensity and leaving behind a legacy and that social responsibility you have in making a film and to do it completely and honestly and tactfully?
Well, I think, you know, when you talk about the responsibility of media, personally for me, again, you know, the way I see it is that, you know, everyone has a God-given talent. Everyone has God-given talent. And what are you going to use it for? You know, listen, you can do whatever you want. I'm not trying to parent nobody. You can do whatever you want. This is America, you know. But, you know, ultimately there got to be some type of moral ground. My professor always told me, he said, people go on TV for two reasons: because they want to get noticed, which is fine. You can get millions of dollars. That's cool if that's your thing, or you want to make a difference. Okay, so you got two reasons why you're going for it. You know, I choose to go with number two, but the work ethic and the passion's got to be there. I think TV production is very difficult to go to the next level if there's no work ethic. Just communications in general. I mean, you know, I think, you know, there's so many of people I know who are, you know, who have communication TV degrees, who I'm doing circles around. You know, just because I wasn't the most talented, I just refused to be outworked. Now, I didn't have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I had a winning plan. I don't know what that plan was. I just said I'm just going to do whatever it takes, But I just want to, put this out there for everyone, watching, is that I want to put on facades too. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I've made 6 documentaries, over the past whatever years. I lost count, 6, 7, I don't know. But I've done a lot of documentaries. But listen, I'm not retiring rich off it. I teach TV production. That's how I make my bread and butter. Okay, and I've kind of changed my career to be a teacher for 2 reasons. Number one, I like working with the kids, and I don't like to have all this information, not give it to somebody. Again, I think it's important that I have a wealth of information at my age, and I feel like I want to make other newbie productions, and have them succeed. Maybe my dream is not for me, maybe it's for them. Who knows? Okay, and also I changed my career because I wanted to have the time to dedicate to my filmmaking. So during the summer times, during my April vacations, my February vacations, I'm working full time as a documentarian and working full time to do my films. You may not make, millions and that first production. So you have to, be able to do adjustments, get a side hustle, and do different things. I shouldn't say side hustle. I mean, my bread and butter is teaching. But I've changed my career for I have the time to go to the next level with my documentaries as well. So, again, I'm not there yet. I don't want people to watch and say, oh, I haven't made it yet. To me, I haven't made it yet. I'm still climbing like everyone else. I think it's very important. A lot of times, you see on Facebook, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, and, they have another job. I think it's very important to give people the reality of what's going on. That way, someone's 15, 16 years old watching, like, okay, cool, this is how much I gotta grind, this is how much I gotta hustle, just to get to this point. I mean, just to get to my point, which I don't think is a big point at all, is a lot of work. I'm fortunate enough where, yes, I'm in a TV studio every day teaching kids, but I'm also able to work on a documentary full time. Just to get to that point was difficult. Never alone getting to a point where Spike Lee is and what have you. That's the amount of hustle and grind you have to do. So, I've worked actually in public access, and I worked in the mayor's office, but I wanted to change my career to teaching TV production. I guess not changing career, I'm still in TV production, but I wanted to change into an educational career because I felt that fit me the best to really pursue my documentary work. So I was, financially taking care of myself, but also do my documentary work as well. I just think it's very important to people to establish, okay, what my reality is, rather than putting a facade out there. I think it's very important.
Where can people stay up to date on your latest projects?
So I'd love to tell you a little bit about my latest project. NewbieProductions.com, NOUBE Productions, all one word, .com. You can see my last film. I've done one on drug addiction called Silence. I did one on fatherhood called Step Up, on sports in the inner city, gun culture, and they're all up there on the tabs. My next one that I'm doing is on policing, on the relationship between the police department and the African American community. It's going to be a very sensitive documentary. People may be uncomfortable with it, but I think it's important. I was joking around, like, if I make everyone mad, I'm like, I know I'm doing my job. That we're telling the story objectively and we're telling it fairly. So that next documentary we're doing is called Protect, Serve, and Care. I'm very happy that Kadu Diallo is going to be on the film. She's actually the woman, the mother of Amadou Diallo, who's unfortunately shot 41 times in New York. Really, really blessed and privileged enough to meet her a few weeks ago. She agreed to be a part of the documentary. Anyone else who wants to be part of the documentary, who has a story, who's a police officer, I want to tell the police officer side too as well. Like I said, 98% of police officers are good people. It's at 2%. So, we're trying to get different perspectives from different parts of law enforcement and people who've been affected negatively or positively by law enforcement, and working with former police officers as well around the local area. So that's our next documentary. It's going to be about bridging the gap between the African American community, particularly males, and the police community. That way, they can see each other, respect each other, and that fear factor of people fearing black men and people fearing police officers won't be there.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Newbie, for joining us, and thank you all for watching The Film Connection. The Film Connection is a Hockomock Film Festival production. If you live in the Hockomock area, are between the ages of 14 and 18, and have an interest in filmmaking, please consider submitting a film. Submissions are accepted until April 27th, and a ceremony will be held on May 11th right here at Easton Community Access Television.